Tanse Wukunamagantik, Bryce Morn Siga Sun Maskekosak Ochinia. With me today is local knowledge keeper and drum maker, Mr. Wally White. On behalf of Maskekosak Kiskinomatowikamik School, Mr. Wally White, I would like to offer you this protocol for your teachings today.
I'm always grateful and humbled to be asked to share a few things. What little I do know, I've learned on this journey. I've been away for a long time, and it's always good to come back and share what these things I've learned on my journey, my travels, to bring back here. Today we're going to be talking about Maskekosak, which we call the sacred drum. So today we'll be sharing a little bit about the story, a little bit about the history, where it come from, what it means to us, and how to honor it, most importantly. So with that, I think we will get started. A long time ago, there was a long war between two tribes, and it was a very long, hard war and very hard fought, and there was much loss at that time. Not only just from the warriors who perished during battle, but also the women and the children and the rest of the tribe started getting sick because they were not following the animals, they weren't following the medicines and the seasons at that time because they were too busy consumed with war to follow them. So they started becoming ill and sick, and people were passing away from many maladies. And there was this young girl at that time. She was just very small, and all her life she had known is grief and sadness and loss. And so she thought it would be, she would go and talk to a creator herself and ask to come and help the people and to stop this. There has to be a better way of life. And so she walked up the mountain one day, and she went up top there, and she sat there, and she stood on the edge of that cliff, and she held her tobacco and she prayed with it deeply. And she put it down on that earth, and she prayed all day and all night, and no answer had come to her. She woke up that next morning with that sunrise and sat there with tobacco again, and she prayed hard, and she asked Creator to help, send something to the people to help them. She put that tobacco down. And again, all day, all night, no answer had come to her. 3-4 days go by, same routine, nothing had come. After 7 days being up on top of that mountain, she was very, very tired. You know, after being fasting for 7 days with no food or no water, she decided that if at this time Creator didn't hear her, then he wasn't going to. And so she decided to break her fast and leave back to the tribe. And she started walking down the mountain, going back to the camp. And as she got partway down, she was very tired, and so she stopped and she leaned up against this tree. And as she leaned up against that tree, she started feeling a lot of sadness that she was going back to the same thing, the same routine again, a lot of loss and sadness. And so she started crying. She started feeling like perhaps Creator didn't listen to her, didn't love her enough to hear her prayers. And Kise Mantu looked down upon her and felt such pity for her, but also such a love and respect that somebody so young would sacrifice so much of herself, and nothing personal. You know, it was for the betterment of the whole people. And so he sent down one of his helpers from Kiwetanok, from the sky, and with it brought that first drum and brought that to that girl and gave her that first drum and showed her those first 4 songs. Said this will help heal the people. And so she was very excited, she was very grateful, and graciously took it, and she went running back down to the hill and got back to the tribe. And of course the first thing they do is, you know, usually go see Kokum, go show them what came. And so she goes into her Kokum's teepee and she gives her the drum and said, "Kokum, look, this Maskekosak has come from Creator, and it's going to help us." And showed her those 4 songs. And as that old woman, she sat there and listened to learn those songs and listened to that drum. It's hard to say because women think on a different level than us men. Us men, we kind of think in the straight line between A to B, whereas women tend to see the way of the world in a bigger aspect. And so she understood that because women are most like Creator, you know, only women can bring life to this world, as only Creator brings life. That it was too much responsibility for them to carry the drum and also to bring life into the world. So she called the warriors of the tribe in, and as they come there and told the warriors, said, "You're going to carry this drum for the people now. You're going to learn these songs. And it's your responsibility to carry it." So as they picked up that drum and they began to sing those 4 songs, something started happening to them. That drum spirit had started to heal them, and it took away all that anger, that rage, that warmongering, that hatred that they had for being at battle for so long. That he was healed from them. They didn't want to fight anymore, and they went across the valley and they went to the opposing tribe and under a flag of peace, and they gifted them the same thing. They gifted them that first drum, and those warriors too. They took that drum and that hatred and that fear-mongering and that warmongering and all that rage was gone, and there was a great peace that come over Turtle Island at that time. And so that is kind of an abbreviated story of how the first drum had come to us. So we realize that it comes to us from the spirit world, so it's sacred. You know, it is not it's not man-made. You know, while I can sit here and take a piece of wood and a piece of hide and put it together and make something that makes noise, it lacks the spirit of the origin of how it came to be and what its purpose is here on this earth. So, you know, when we think about these things, you know, as much as I sit here and talk to you in this language, and you know, not in my original language, but in this foreign language, you know, my voice creates sound waves, and it creates and it echoes off your eardrum, and your brain interprets it in this weird, wonderful way into a language that you can understand and interpret exactly what I'm trying to communicate to you. You know, this drum has its own language, and it speaks in its own way as well. So you know, and that's the language of the drum, of Maskekosak, and it speaks on a different level. While you hear the sound waves, and you hear and you can feel that vibration almost as well, but it speaks to your spirit. You know, because it comes from spirit, it speaks to spirit. So it heals you of those sadnesses, of the grief, of the loss, and all those other things that, you know, that perhaps aren't physical, that hold your spirit back. You know, and that's why we see them at ceremonies all the time. You know, they get used at those times because it's made to heal the people in a different way. You know, so you know, it's truly a wonderful gift that we've been given, and it's important to respect and honor at that time. So, you know, that's kind of an abbreviated version as well. You know, there's a lifetime of teachings, a lifetime of learning that comes along with these drums, and I hope it never stops. So when we're making the drums, it's always important to acknowledge that we're very respectful and thinking about how it came to be. I mean, it's not just as simple as just putting a piece of wood down and tying a piece of hide over top. You know, we're very conscious and being thankful and grateful for the tree that gave its life to be a part of this frame, and also that animal that sacrificed itself so its hide could be part of this as well, and the water that comes to be, that we use to soak it, and the wind that helps to dry. And there's so many things to be grateful and thankful for, but we always keep that in mind as we're doing these things. You know, it's that we are not alone in this. You know, we require the humility and the gratefulness and the kindness of all our relatives. You know, from different walks to be able to make these things happen. So everything has to happen in a perfect way for us to be able to have these wonderful gifts. And so I always find that I'm very amazed that all these things come together in a perfect way, you know, just so that we can have such a beautiful way of life and a beautiful culture. And when you think about that, it's hard not to be in perpetual gratitude of a beautiful lifestyle that's been passed down for generations. You know, so when you get your mind frame like that, you know, it becomes very easy. It becomes a very cool thing to be able to making drums such as this. You know, so, you know, if I'm making it for a specific place, a specific person, a specific group of people, I'm thinking of them. It becomes almost a time of prayer for me because I'm thinking how this is going to help them in their life, how knowing the story of what it's going to do and how it's going to be, what its purpose is, and then I'm thinking about these people, and I know that it's going to help them on their journey, and if they take care of the drum will take care of them. And so it becomes a very reflective moment for me, just to be able to sit there and think about, where it's going to go and the things it's going to do, the way it's going to help these people and help the communities that it travels to as well. So as we, that's the most important thing to me, is keeping that frame of mind and keeping that thought process, and being in gratitude, of course. So, as we get these things, we're gonna stop and we're gonna think about the frame. A lot of times people will have a certain vision or a certain set of colors that they wish it to be. So you're gonna spend several days painting it, to follow that vision or that path that they wish to go on, and to be able to prepare the hide. That's a whole other story that takes several days to do as well. From hunting to harvesting the animal, taking your time and skinning it properly, and then taking it, fleshing it, and scraping the hide, scraping the hair off, and getting it to that right thickness to where it's going to be, for which it's going to be used for, whether it be hand drums or powwow drums or rattles or whatever, even a smoked tanned hide for moccasins or whatever it is. There's a whole process to all this stuff, and but for the big drum, and specifically, it doesn't take a lot of scraping. You want it to be a little bit thicker. You want it to be so it's going to be a little more versatile, so it can stand 12 people or more sometimes, hitting that drum. So we got to be, don't want it to be too thin. You don't want it to tear, definitely. So take your time, and to prepare it, making sure it's the right size, and there's no tears, there's no cuts on the hide. And then to scrape it, and then sometimes you'd even, color the hide or paint a picture on them, to coincide with that vision of what you want it to be. So, there's a long process to it. It's not just so simple as, perhaps stopping at Halford's or some other supply store just to buy a frame and buy a hide and put it together. There's a lot longer of a process and thought that goes along with it. So as we're going to be making these ones here, I know this drum that I'll be making here in the next day or two. I've been preparing it for quite a while. It's been 4 days of painting that drum, of painting the frame and getting it prepared the way that people had asked for and that they'd seen in their dream. And then for the hide as well, to be able to get it prepared and cut and make sure that it's the right tensile strength, that it's going to be efficient enough, and then to re-soak and get all the holes prepared, cut the strapping. There's a lot. It probably takes several days to make a large drum, and so there's a lot of long process to it, and so it's once you start, you're committed to it, and you got to get it done. So.